External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has heralded India's remarkable strides in reshaping the global perception of democracy. Highlighting India's resilience and progress in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic, Jaishankar emphasized the nation's exemplary growth, underscoring its transformational impact on the democratic landscape. Take a look.
We have actually managed to change the image of democracy. We have today created a sense in the world today that it is possible to be a democracy and it is possible to simultaneously deliver and develop in a strong way. And I'm compelled to say this, that at a time when many established democracies are struggling with process, are struggling with outcomes, we today are actually a system which, frankly, in many ways is an exemplar. There are many democracies where it is compulsory to vote. They are astonished that we can get a 70% rate of voting on a voluntary basis. There is both respect for India and India's performance in the world. But there is also a great sense of anticipation about where India can fit in. There is one more factor which I will talk about a little later. The second issue is actually, what is happening in the politics of India. That from a time when generally democracies were seen as dysfunctional and inefficient, we have actually managed to change the image of democracy. That by this, by handling challenges like COVID, by all the transformations that we have seen in the last decade, we have today created a sense in the world today that it is possible to be a democracy and it is possible to simultaneously deliver and develop in a strong way. I can tell you, there is enormous interest and, the scale of what is happening in our politics when people ask me, so how many voters are there? I mean, we are talking where single constituencies in India there are many countries of that size or less, of single constituencies. When you come to the states, there are states of India which would probably be, I think, in the top 10 countries of the world in terms of population. So the idea that so many people are actually able to organize themselves into a genuinely participative and consensual exercise. And I'm compelled to say this, that at a time when many established democracies are struggling with process, are struggling with outcomes, are actually even struggling with principles, we today are actually a system which, frankly, in many ways is an exemplar. We have never had hanging chads in India. We've never had to go to a Supreme Court to actually decide who has won the election or not. So when we speak today about democracy, I think it's very important for us to realize the value of what we are doing. Because believe me, a large part of the world is actually looking at us and saying, okay, these guys have close to 1 billion voters. People are still astonished. There are many democracies where it is compulsory to vote. They're astonished that we can get a 70% rate of voting on a voluntary basis. So, one part of it is the democracy that delivers, that's the democracy bit I talked. Then there's the delivery part. I tell people that often when I go out, I get my foreign policy business done maybe in about 25-30% of the time. The rest of my time, I actually spend responding to curiosity about India. People pick up something they have read, and probably the most recurring theme now is, because remember, this is like a peer group, okay? This will be like you have a large chamber of commerce. Imagine ministers of the world or the prime ministers or the presidents of the world discussing each other's business and doing a kind of a peer review and a rating out there. They actually are very curious. How does this, delivery of public services, of public goods on the scale in which it is happening actually happen? Because when I actually share numbers with them, there are a lot of countries which give food support of some kind. You can say rations of some kind. Now when you tell them that we have mastered a system. There are countries which are struggling how to deliver food stamps. Okay. I don't want to take names out here. Okay. We are today delivering rations to 815 million people month on month. And one of the commitments we have just made is we'll keep it going for the next 5 years.